We're taught that kindness pays off, that being agreeable is the path to connection, to respect, to being valued. They lied. What if the very qualities you thought were virtues, your patience, your willingness to compromise, your constant accommodation of others, are actually being weaponized against you? What if your niceness isn't a strength but a carefully engineered weakness? Your whole life you've been told to be kind, approachable, pleasant. You smile when you're interrupted, apologize when someone bumps into you, lower your voice when making a point, all to avoid the cardinal sin, being difficult. But have you noticed? The more agreeable you become, the less you matter. It's not random, it's systematic. While you waste energy on being likable, others spend theirs on being respected. The system wasn't designed for fairness. It was designed to identify who can be stepped on, who will absorb mistreatment without pushing back. The math is brutal and simple. Your agreeableness becomes inversely proportional to the respect you receive. Every unnecessary sorry is blood in the water. Every uncomfortable laugh at your own expense is a signal. This one will take it. Watch how the loudest, most demanding people get what they want. Not because they deserve it, because the system rewards those who take. The gentle ones, they're resources to be extracted. Your kindness isn't reciprocated because it was never meant to be currency. It was meant to be your cage. Being nice doesn't buy respect, it just prolongs the contempt. We value all voices here. This is a collaborative environment. We're a family. Beautiful lies that sound like inclusion, but function as control. You've sat in those meetings, offered ideas that died in silence, only to be praised when repeated by someone else 10 minutes later. Been told your concerns would be addressed, then watched them evaporate. Been invited to speak freely in rooms where the real decisions were made hours earlier behind closed doors. This false equality is more insidious than outright hierarchy because it makes structural violence invisible. It transforms systemic problems into personal failings. When you're frustrated, they don't see broken power dynamics. They see you being difficult. When you point out hypocrisy, they don't see truth. They see you not being a team player. The cruelest part? You internalize it. Start wondering if you're the problem, if your ideas really aren't good enough, if your voice really is too shrill, too soft, too something. The system's greatest triumph isn't silencing you, it's making you silence yourself while believing it was your choice. If everyone is equal, why are you the only one constantly proving your worth? Look at your closet. Really look. How many of those clothes actually express who you are? How many are compromises with an unspoken threat? Your body isn't just yours. It's a contested space where power plays out. Every morning, you negotiate with invisible forces. How much of yourself can you reveal before becoming unprofessional? How bright can your colors be before you're seeking attention? How comfortable can your clothes be before you're not taking things seriously? This isn't about fashion. It's about the commodification of presence. The system needs your body present, but your identity muted. Needs you visible enough to perform, but invisible enough not to disrupt. So you learn to disappear in plain sight. Neutral tones, conventional cuts, restrained accessories, a visual whisper, not a statement. The real cost isn't in your wardrobe, it's in your nervous system. That low-grade anxiety before entering spaces, that exhausting calculation of how your appearance will be weaponized against you. That gradual alienation from your own image until the person in the mirror looks more like a strategic compromise than a human being. The world sees you the way the system taught you to hide. They interrupt you, talk over you, dismiss your ideas with a glance. You think the solution is better arguments, clearer communication, more eloquence. You're solving the wrong problem. Power speaks through bodies before words ever enter the room. It's in the squared shoulders of the man who takes up 2 seats on the train, the relaxed posture of someone who's never had to make themselves smaller, the unhurried pace of someone who knows the world will wait for them. Your body carries a history of compromise, of folding inward to take up less space, of avoiding eye contact to diffuse tension, of tension held in shoulders raised slightly toward ears, the physical shape of perpetual apology. This isn't your natural state. It's learned behavior from a lifetime of accommodating others at your own expense. The system reads bodies instantly, categorizing them as either obstacles or pathways. And it doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth if your body has already telegraphed submission. When you speak with a tilted head, with palms facing upward, with a questioning lilt at the end of statements, you've already lost before the conversation begins. You don't need to be aggressive. You need to stop looking available. I can't make it tonight because the reason I disagree is I need a mental health day because, notice the pattern, the constant, exhausting need to justify basic boundaries, to provide acceptable reasons for your human limitations, as if your needs themselves aren't enough. They must be validated by external criteria. This compulsive justification isn't natural. It's trained, installed through thousands of small moments where your unadorned no wasn't respected, but your elaborate explanation was. Where your simple desire wasn't sufficient, but your apologetic reasoning was acceptable. The ideology of perpetual availability runs deep. It tells us that our value is tied to our utility to others, that our boundaries are negotiations, not declarations, that rest must be earned, not claimed, and most perversely, that we must make others comfortable with our discomfort, softening our limits with explanations that won't upset the system. Breaking this pattern feels like blasphemy, like standing in a church and shouting obscenities. The first time you say no without a paragraph of justification, your pulse will race, your throat will tighten, every instinct will scream that you're breaking an essential social contract. You're not. You're just refusing to participate in your own diminishment. Those who explain themselves too much have already lost respect before opening their mouth. The exhaustion you feel isn't weakness, it's evidence. Evidence of how much energy the system extracts from you just to exist within it without disrupting its flow. Your fatigue is the metabolic cost of constant self-regulation, of reformatting your natural humanity into acceptable shapes. This isn't about becoming cold or callous. It's about recognizing that your warmth has been exploited, that your accommodating nature has been weaponized against you, that the very qualities that make you human, empathy, flexibility, desire for connection, have been twisted into tools of your own subjugation. But this isn't just about individual awareness. It's about recognizing the machinery of power that programs these behaviors into us from childhood. The subtle reinforcement that comes when you speak softly and get ignored, then raise your voice and get labeled aggressive. The way women are socialized to end statements as questions. The way marginalized people learn to make themselves unthreatening just to navigate daily life. These aren't personal quirks. They're social control mechanisms. Look at how children are rewarded. The good ones sit still. Don't question authority. Accept discomfort without complaint. The education system isn't just teaching math and reading, it's teaching hierarchy. Teaching some bodies to command space and others to yield it. By adulthood, the lessons are bone deep. You don't even notice the calculations you make before entering a room. The instinctive threat assessment, the mental rehearsal of how to appear, competent but not challenging, present but not demanding, engaged but not disruptive. This constant calibration drains your cognitive resources. While others use their mental bandwidth to advance their interests, you spend yours on not triggering their discomfort. It's an invisible tax on your existence, a labor that goes uncompensated and unacknowledged. And here's the twisted part. The system convinces you this is virtue, that your exhausting self-regulation is emotional intelligence or social grace. It repackages your oppression as moral superiority. You're just better at considering others, they say, as they consume the energy you might have used to advocate for yourself. The most effective prisons don't have walls. They have beliefs. Beliefs that make the captive police themselves. You've been taught that taking up space is selfish, that asserting boundaries is inconsiderate, that prioritizing your needs is immature. These aren't neutral values. They're control mechanisms designed to extract maximum value from you while ensuring minimal resistance. Think about who benefits when you believe these things. Who profits from your willingness to work through lunch, to answer emails at midnight, to take on the emotional labor of making everyone comfortable, to accept less pay because asking for more would be aggressive? The system runs on your exhaustion, on your willingness to deplete yourself for approval that never comes, on your fear that if you stop accommodating, you'll be abandoned, rejected, cast out. But what if that fear is the final control mechanism, the shock collar that keeps you inside invisible boundaries? What if the rejection you fear is actually your liberation? Because here's what they don't tell you. When you stop being available for exploitation, two things happen. Some people do leave, the ones who only valued you for your utility. But others, the ones worth keeping, adjust. They learn your boundaries are real, that your no means no, that your existence isn't negotiable. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about unbecoming what you were programmed to be. It starts with noticing. The unconscious tilt of your head when speaking to someone with power. The automatic apology when stating a need. The hunched shoulders when walking alone at night. These aren't your natural state. They're adaptations to a hostile environment. Then it continues with experiments, small refusals, tiny reclamations of space, saying no without explanation, making a statement without raising your pitch at the end, maintaining eye contact for 3 seconds longer than feels comfortable, not filling a silence because someone else made it awkward. Each of these moments will feel wrong, dangerous. Your body will flood with adrenaline, screaming that you violated a fundamental law. That punishment is coming. But what actually comes might surprise you. Confusion sometimes, respect occasionally, anger from those most invested in your compliance. But most importantly, a slow recognition of your own power. The revelation that many of the consequences you feared were just shadows on the wall. The system's greatest lie is that your suffering is inevitable, that power hierarchies are natural, that your exhaustion is a personal failing rather than a structural extraction. Your fatigue isn't weakness, it's theft. Every time you dimmed your presence to make others comfortable, something was stolen from you. Every time you apologized for needs that required no apology, something was taken. Every time you justified your existence to people who never questioned their own, you paid a tax you didn't owe. The path forward isn't about dominating others. It's about refusing to be dominated by expectations that were never designed for your freedom. It's about recognizing that your energy is finite and precious, that your presence is not a privilege, but a power, that your capacity for warmth and connection doesn't obligate you to burn yourself for others' comfort. The revolution won't feel triumphant at first. It will feel uncomfortable, selfish, wrong, because you're violating the programming that's been installed in you since birth, the conditioning that equated your compliance with your worthiness. But discomfort is how we grow. Unlearning requires disruption, and your worthiness was never actually at stake, only your usefulness to a system that extracts without reciprocating. Your fatigue is telling you something important. Listen to it, honor it. It's not character weakness, it's your body and mind in active resistance against demands that were never sustainable. Your exhaustion is wisdom your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. Consider how radical it would be to simply exist without explanation, to take up space unapologetically, to state needs without softening them, to hold eye contact without flinching, to speak in declarative sentences that don't rise at the end in search of approval. These small acts feel revolutionary because they are. They disrupt the invisible machinery of control that runs on your compliance, your self-doubt, your fear of rejection. Notice how quickly people label these behaviors as selfish or inconsiderate when they come from those expected to yield. But the same behaviors from those in power are called confidence and leadership. This isn't coincidence. It's how power maintains itself, by making its own traits virtuous while pathologizing them in others. Every system of domination requires the cooperation of the dominated, requires their belief that submission is virtue, that resistance is vice, that the discomfort of boundary setting is worse than the slow death of self-erasure. This is why authentic presence feels so threatening to the status quo. It's not just a personal choice, it's a political act, a refusal to participate in your own diminishment. A declaration that your humanity is not negotiable, not a performance to be approved, not a resource to be extracted. The revolution begins in the smallest moments, in the straightened spine, the direct gaze, the unqualified statement, the boundary stated as fact, not request, in refusing to make yourself smaller so that others don't have to confront their own entitlement to your energy. It continues in solidarity with others doing the same work, in recognizing when someone's voice is being ignored and amplifying it rather than competing, in noticing when someone is being asked to justify what others take for granted and standing with them, in naming the invisible dynamics of power that everyone pretends not to see. This isn't about becoming hardened or callous. It's about directing your care toward what deserves it, including yourself. It's about recognizing that your compassion has been weaponized against you, that your empathy has been exploited, that your willingness to accommodate has been used to extract more than you can sustainably give. The system didn't make a mistake when it taught you to shrink. It knew exactly what it was doing. Now, so do you. Your presence is not a privilege to be earned. It's your birthright as a human being. Your voice doesn't need justification. Your boundaries aren't up for debate. Your energy isn't an infinite resource for others to drain. The revolution begins when you stop apologizing for the space you occupy, when you refuse to make yourself smaller to accommodate those who've never questioned their right to expand. When you recognize that your exhaustion isn't weakness, it's the metabolic cost of conforming to expectations that were never designed for your freedom or flourishing. The most radical act isn't aggression, it's authentic presence, unapologetic existence, the quiet refusal to contort yourself into shapes that make your exploitation more convenient. The system didn't make a mistake when it taught you to shrink. It knew exactly what it was doing. Now, so do you.